Hey, y'all like those mistakes I put in there in the beginning? You probably did. That's the reason why I'm calling this PC Building Confessions for this week, because we all need to confess something. Something y'all ain't been confessing about ever since you first started learning how to build a PC. The confessions of it all. So that's what we're coming down here today to talk about, the confessions. Hello there, MTBK, Winston, and Machine. Good to see you guys all here. It's your first time here. Remember, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Don't forget about the notification bell. And also, too, remember, every live stream needs a positive thumbs up. And you can switch over from the chatting thing. What do you call it? The chat box. You can hit that X on the chat box, and then you can hit the like, and then you can click back onto the chat thing, come back and say, hey, I gave you a positive like. Everybody seems to forget about that positive like thing. But we're here to talk about confessions. All right, I'm going to give you guys my first PC confession and the mistakes that I made, some regrets and redemption. And yeah, you guys are wondering why I'm doing this on this stream for today instead of doing something constructive like the 9060 XT. Give me a break. Or, you know, the 5060 or the 5060 Ti, or, you know, something from Intel like the B58 or something. Well, you know, maybe people are kind of tired of hearing about the drama of the graphics cards. Maybe today we're going to break a little bit of that drama away from you guys. And don't forget, after we get done with the live stream, I will be uploading the next video for PC Masterclass. So make sure you wait on that and you stay to the end of the stream so that way you can see the extremes. Okay. And Machine says, I definitely got some regrets for sure. Well, you know, we all do. I mean, when we first start building a PC, this is the regrets we all have. The fear factor of breaking something. It's the total fear factor. If you make a mistake on a PC part, unless you spent thousands of dollars on it, then yeah, you're going to have that mistake and regret. But what are you going to do for the redemption of it? That's the question. I'm going to give you a little story about what happened with me in the beginning. I was working with the technician up in Baltimore, Maryland. First time building PCs. He had a warehouse full of 286 computers. And he says, today, you and me are going to learn how to build a PC. And I'm like, I know absolutely nothing about PCs back then. That was like the first rodeo for me. So, and I'm confessing to this, guys, I didn't know nothing back then when I first started building. So he showed me, he says, okay, we're going to start with the hardware. We're going to learn what the hardware is. Each piece of the hardware, you're going to learn what it does, its functioning, which I'm going to teach you guys on the PC Masterclass, by the way. So once I've learned all the functions of it, that took me like several weeks. Because when you're first learning, it takes several weeks to learn what each component does. So once I've learned all that, then he said, okay, now it's time for you to put together a PC. So he had a table with parts. I mean parts. I mean serious parts. I mean parts all over the place. And he says, out of all these parts, I want you to put me one PC together. Out of all these parts. He put a lot of trickery into that. Because I found out that several components in there that he put into that PC pile weren't working. How I figured that out, I was like, okay, well, since I have a little bit of knowledge on how TVs, radios, and stuff like that works, I said, okay, well, it should be no different than, individual parts. So I looked at him and said, okay, well, if you're asking me to make sure the parts fit, where's your multimeter? And he looked at me like, huh? I was like, yeah, where's your multimeter? I need a multimeter. And he says, why do you need that? Because every part has a connection. Every part has an ohm balance. Every part will tell you if it's shorted or not. So and I told him like this, if you put shorted PC parts on this table, I'll know it. So I told him you have two options. One, you can go onto the table and pick off all the PC parts that you put that don't work. Or two, I'll get a multimeter and show you what PC parts don't work. And believe it or not, I don't know the ohm measurements or anything else of it. That was a bluff. That was a bluff. Hello, Michael. Good to see you. Welcome to the live stream. So, he said, okay, well, he said to me, since you're so smart, here's a multimeter. He gave me a multimeter. Well, I don't have one in front of me, but you guys know what a multimeter looks like. And he says, here you go. Do it to it. But he said to me, you got 1 hour to put this PC together. And when you got it together, if the operating system doesn't work in it, you're going to take it all apart, figure out what's broken, and fix it. So I'm like, how many mistakes am I going to make? Here's the first mistake. The most common mistake everybody makes now these days, the most common mistake is seating the RAM correctly. I'll tell you what, I could not believe that I had it incorrectly seated for that computer not to boot. I had to take that PC apart again and figure out why. As I was going through each individual part, thank God back then he was having me put together integrated graphic computers and not ones with the graphics card. That would have been a mess. These computers were built with integrated graphics. See, back then PC graphics were not too much of the thing with graphics cards. Everybody was running integrated graphics back then. So that made it a little bit easier for me to pinpoint. But not so much as when you have these big cards like this. Big cards that plug into the ISA slots for the system RAM. Yeah. One of those kind of computers. You're welcome, Michael, anytime. So, when I got down to the nitty-gritty, and I figured out what I did wrong, that I did not seat the right RAM in the right slot, that's what I did wrong, because it wasn't seated correctly in the right spot. So once I put it into the right slot, then after that, I was able to plug in the hard drive and everything else, and then turn around, the hard drive didn't work. So he made me take it all apart again and figure out what I did wrong. See, that's a lot of mistakes to make on just one PC. But it's kind of hard to tell if the drive is good or bad. So, yeah. Now these days you can tell, because they have a special tool that you can use to plug into your hard drive to tell if your hard drive is good or bad when it comes to a mechanical drive, an HDD, hard disk drive. So, and they also got a device too that'll tell you if the RAM's good or bad and stuff like that, blah, 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 whatever. So now I went through all those mistakes and I was able to get it all together. Did I regret putting that PC together in the beginning? I was like, yeah, I kind of regretted it a little bit. Reason why I regretted it a little bit, and make sure you guys got your drink and snacks, by the way. Reason why I regretted it so much, it's because it's not like the PCs of today. Back then, it was really hard to find compatible parts that would fit with these motherboards. I mean, it was aesthetic. I mean, it's hard to find. But when you have enough knowledge and everything else to do it, then obviously it's not so bad once you have the knowledge to do it, guys. You know, back then I didn't really have the knowledge of it, but as I learned over the years, it got a lot better. So, not so much I regretted everything. It came to the redemption of things. I was able to redeem myself when it comes to building PCs. Now I can build them with no problem. I can see what the problem is with components. I can put it together fast, and I can also get it running really great on Windows operating systems, or Linux, or Android, or Chromebook. They have a Google Chromebook operating system you can put on it too. So there's many operating systems you can do. You just got to make sure you don't get one that's a malware magnet. So I'm going to read what you guys have put. That is my confession for you guys. Now it's time to hear you guys one by one on your confessions. Let's see what you guys got cooking on your confessions. MTBK says, my first PC I assembled together and I had help from a friend connecting the PC case to the cables to the motherboard. Plus, I didn't know the thermal pads on the CPU stock cooler are good enough. Yeah. See, people don't understand, sometimes you can get really good thermal pads, but sometimes they can be a bad thing too. So yeah, I understand your grief right there. So, Michael says, JJ, exactly, this first build was how long ago? 286. 1984 to 1986. So, if you wanted to know. I believe it or not, back in technical college, 1998, was terrified of the hardware portion of the course content. And now it's my most favorite thing. Yeah, I know. I mean, I agree with you about that. I mean, I'm like, wow, you know, you look back so many years ago when you first started And the terrification process of defunctifying yourself from the terrification process is just, you know, it has to be done. I mean, you have to get over the fear factor of blowing something up. I mean, it's more or less like watching the Addams Family and the children blowing up a volcano or something, you know. Or you got Gomez blowing up his train set and the whole house shakes and everything else. Yeah, I mean, you have to get over the fear factor. And if you're afraid to spend a lot of money, then don't. Get yourself one of those really cheap computers. Tinker with it until you're comfortable with it. Tinkering with them in the beginning to get yourself a feel of how everything works, doing your research, testing and testing and testing, I say over and over and over again, will get you in the right path. So Winston says, my case has horrible darn airflow, no top airflow whatsoever. Winston, I told you on Discord, when you get the money and time, you find a case that has terrific airflow with enough room on top for a 360 millimeter AIO cooler and has enough room all the way around that has decent amount of airflow with three 120 millimeter fans shoving that air through the front and exhausting it up top, which you got a restriction on because of the fins on the AIO cooler, which kind of down pressures it a little bit, and the rest of the back fan just pulls it right out the back. So it kind of equalizes the pressure as it exits. And as it incomes, it's like a steady airflow. That's what you want, a steady airflow. Especially if you're using an air-cooled GPU, you kind of want that airflow. So, let's see. Brad, good to see you. Welcome back once again, man. Flashback to the days when dips and jumper placements. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh my God, the 66 megahertz, 33 megahertz boards. Oh my God, those were just like, what frequency do I put for my RAM? You know, it's front-sided bus and all that. Yeah, I know, man. It's the good, bad, and nightmare when that comes to that. Settings could be difference between a functional and a non-functional PC. I do agree with that. But I'll tell you, but that's the adventure, especially when they come out with the program Tweak 134A, to where you can actually go into like a Dell or a Hewlett Packard or, you know, any of those PCs, to where you actually can get into the function of the BIOS, which they restricted you from, which they had a hack program for that. And then you're able to get more performance out of those Walmart brand computers compared to, you know, just running it stock. That was the fun part of it, truthfully. So, Machine says, when I bought my first computer, I did not think about the PSU, so my system was not very upgradable. But as long as you had enough room in the case there, my man, as long as you had enough room in the case, it's upgradable. Even though if you have to replace the power supply or not, if you have enough room in your case, you definitely got it for the place. So, truthfully, over time, you get your use out of your PC. So you take and extend the life of it, put a bigger PSU in there. That extends the life of it. Since you got an AM5 motherboard, I mean, yeah, gives you more options for bigger graphics cards. especially with the 7700X Pro. And I know your PC very well because we've discussed this. Michael says, wow, I hadn't even touched a PC until 1988. Yeah. My first real adventure was on a programmable PC called the Aquarius Computer. I think that was in 1980, somewhere in there, I think. 79, 80. Because it was on, you could take and write a program to one of those cassettes, those cassette tapes, and basically you can play games. If you write the program to the cassette tape, you can play it back to the PC, and you know, it looked like a Commodore 64, but you could play that cassette tape back to the PC, and it was able to, you know, if you have all programming done, you can play the games. It was pretty cool. But when you're a kid back then, you know, you ain't got really much to do because there was no internet. So what else do you got to do? So Brad says, I spent a good bit of time in one of my builds figuring out whether the IDE HHD was set to master or slave. Yeah, that was the primary and secondary. Yeah, I mean, then you have your different sets. You have your primary, secondary, and then you have optional primary and secondary. So you can put like 4 drives in. It depends on the IDE cable and how you had it set up. You can make one primary drive and the rest slave drives, you know, and I mean, it's just crazy how you had to do it. But as they come out with different types SATA instead of IDE and they went to SATA became a lot better. And over the period of years, it's gotten a lot better. So, yeah, I agree. Machine says, hey Jay, did you see what Frank Azor said to Hardware Unbox about 8GB GPUs? Bro, I'm gonna confess to you, no I haven't, but I'm gonna tell you what I think about this. I think everybody is blowing it out of proportion. I really do. Those 8GB graphics cards are supposed to be low budget graphics cards for entry level computer builders. Has nothing to do with the advanced class, like these big channels. Has nothing to do with those. Okay, these are the people that are building the computer for the first time. Want something to start with. Don't have a lot of money. You know, I mean, everybody's blowing it out of proportion. If I had the newest, an 8GB card, and that's all I could afford, believe it or not, just hear me out. If all I can afford is a $320 graphics card like the 5060, which you can get on Newegg, by the way, and I get it for $320, and I put it with an AM4 motherboard, like a B550 motherboard, and I put me a 5900X in there, 12 core 24 thread processor, and let's say, guess what? Let's say I want to put, since it's cheap now, 4000 megahertz RAM, and clock it up, try to get it as close to the 4000 megahertz I can. I got a banging system. Running it on medium settings. Running that graphics card on medium settings, I could have a ton of play. A ton of gameplay. But everybody's just bashing it. Why, Michael, why are you saying don't buy a 5060? Is it because you heard other reviewers talk about that? Give me the reason why. That's what I want to know. What's the reason why? I'll look at it, machine, no doubt. When you say I touched in 88, I meant learning how to use one. Oh, okay. I got you. Bro, it's more or less like telling everybody, Michael, it's like telling everybody not to buy a 3056 gigabyte. That's kind of where everybody's leading right now. There's many cards that AMD's put out with the 128-bit bus that nobody's talked about, that nobody was concerned about. All of a sudden, it's with NVIDIA's cards with the 128-bit bus that everybody's concerned about. Look at AMD's what was it, the 7600 XT with the 128-bit bus. It's got 16 gigabytes of VRAM. But nobody talked about that. Nobody talked about that. But it's all of a sudden it's the 5060 that's the problem with the 128 gigabyte bus, or 128-bit bus, my bad. Truthfully, it's how you use the card. You can use any card you want. So that's up to you. Whatever you like to buy, that's up to you. But, you know, I'm not going to tell anybody to not buy it. The reason why is this. I'm going to give you the reason why. Is because when you go out on the market now these days, you go to look for a graphics card. And now with Windows, Microsoft Windows doing what they're doing with pushing Copilot plus PC and some of the new architecture that they're pushing towards Copilot plus PC, they're pushing everybody off of x86 to go over to Copilot plus PC. That's ARM processing. They're trying to push everybody off of x86 to there. It was just put out a couple days ago that the new in the Canary channel that they're testing everything for Copilot plus PC, that they're not focused on x86. So that's going to be like a big dig. So truthfully, you know, it's kind of a push and go kind of thing. So let's see. I think even the 7060 Ti will have an 8 gigabyte version. MTBK, you're bad, man. 128 bit and 4x2, 2 gigabyte VRAM. Oh, yeah, 4x2. Why would they do that when they got the new 3 gigabyte chips coming in? Something tells me that everybody's kind of overlooking that, because something tells me that they're going to do a 4x3 on some of their newest cards coming out for, what is it, the Rubin series? I heard a leak and rumor, somebody saying that their lowest end graphics card's going to have 12 gigabytes of VRAM. So that's what I'm hearing. Just cheaper to make without clamshelling it. 3 gigabyte modules, yeah. Exist. Doesn't mean only those are made. Yep, I do agree, MTBK. Michael says, with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, it's a waste for the dollars. It could be for some people, but some people play older games. Some people don't play the newest AAA games. So to them, that might be a blessing to them, because it's a big time upgrade from like a 1060 or a 1030 or a 1080 Ti. But yeah, there is the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte that everybody can go to, but that's like $100 more. So if you're wanting to spend $100 more, then you can go to the 16 gigabyte version. It's the matter of choice, people. It's a matter of choice. It's what everybody wants to choose. Okay? If I choose to go with an 8 gigabyte card, I'll go with an 8 gigabyte card. If I want a 12 gigabyte card, which I have, so I don't have any problems with 12 gigabytes. So, but if I get it just for testing, guys, I'll get it for testing, you know, just to see what it does. But from what I'm seeing on other people's testing with the 5060, if they leave it at a medium setting, you know, they don't have a problem. It runs just fine. It runs equally with the 16 gigabyte version. The 8 gigabyte and 16 run equal at the medium settings. Well, everybody loves the graphics. They want to push the high-end graphics onto a low-end graphics card. There's a reason for the low-end graphics card. I'm just saying. I mean, I understand y'all's point, but there is a point of the low-end graphics card. But do remind you, the confession to this is AMD needs to confess to the 9060 XT 8 gigabyte version. Okay. Now see, y'all are nailing on NVIDIA. AMD's pulling the same crap. So who's at fault? Is NVIDIA at fault for this or AMD? In June, we'll find out what AMD puts out. Guarantee, we'll find out in June. Because it's already been leaked that they're going to do an 8 gigabyte version for a 9060 XT. And it's already been leaked that the 9060 is going to be an 8 gigabyte version. So, you know, we have to go with what's the GOAT? I mean, we have to look at the GOAT of things. Well, I have to scroll all the way down for this confessional. Let's see. Oh, this is saying about hardware unboxed. 8 gigabyte versions of the product, such as 9060 XT, are designed for system integrators to milk customers, which is why AMD and NVIDIA mislead by using the same name, just to be honest. Oh, and Frank Azor says, majority of gamers are still playing at 1080p and have no use for more than 8 gigabytes of memory. Some do. Some people are playing still at 1080p. I mean, that's like 62 or 64% of the world right now still playing at 1080p on the statistics, but the statistics might change depending on how Microsoft is doing things. That's what could change the variations to that. Most play games are like World of Warcraft or esports games. We wouldn't build it if there wasn't a market for it. If the 8 gigabyte isn't right for you, then there's a 16 gigabyte. Same GPU, no compromise, just memory. Okay, I read the notice that was put into the Discord. So, thanks for bringing that up there, Machine. Jay, I understand the point you're making, as I just upgraded my GPU this year. Before that, I was running an 8 gigabyte AMD 6600 Eagle. Okay, not a bad card. In a gaming PC too, but it came bundled with the TLAO Part 1 for free. So you basically got a card with a bundled game, and truthfully, that kind of lowers the price of the graphics card if you come with a bundled game. So you got to do the push kind of shove. So that lowers the price of the graphics card. So, you know, you benefited by getting the game, because physically, the graphics card is physical. The game's not physical. Physically on the internet, but not physically in your hand physical. So basically, that's just like a push and shove kind of thing. So NVIDIA used to make more out of 8 gigabyte compared to AMD. I look forward to see if this still is the case when the RX 9060 XT releases on June the 5th. Yeah, I agree, MTBK. I want to see what they're going to make out of it. So it would be good to have you in there with your knowledge. Can't spell. It's all right, bro. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So, guys, this is the confession that NVIDIA and AMD should be having. Okay, this is the confession they should be having right now with us in the chat. They should be here in this chat with us today, confessing the reason why they're doing this. But they're expanding. They're trying to tell you they're expanding their reach out to everybody for 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. Nobody gets left behind. But everybody doesn't understand that. So there's people that game that don't mind 8 gigabytes of VRAM. I mean, that's a majority of the world that do 1080p. They don't mind having an inexpensive system that they can take and build from later on down the road. So yeah, I mean, I can see the regrets of having 8 gigabytes of VRAM, but the redemption of it is it's gonna be still handle the business. So it can still handle the business. And that's what you have to look at. If it can't handle the business, then yeah, I could say there's a problem. You know, I could say there's a problem if it can't handle the business, but if it can, then why knock it? I mean, everybody can agree to disagree with me on that. So there, I put a link for you. That'll make it easier to get into the Discord server. And I do thank you if you do join, but don't forget to hit the subscribe button too here on the channel, because we're trying to grow as much as we can. And I am confessing to this, guys. When I first started my channel, when I first started my channel, is, how can I say it? It was rough. I mean, it was rough. Also, too, we talk here. I have more than one Discord server channel, but we talk on the general text chat, just to let you know. So you might want to click on the general text chat. That's just a walk-on page. Thanks, machine. Appreciate it, bro. So, just let you know that. I need more game data plus another game to have an estimate if I need more than 8 gigabytes of VRAM. It's kind of hard to tell. Well, if you got 8 gigabytes of, well, you got a laptop, bro. I mean, if you got 8 gigabytes of VRAM on a laptop, it's kind of, yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of hard to tell between the 8 and the 16. Some people say that, and I do hear that. So I am running a 4070 Super. Cool, bro. Cool. 4070 Super. Alrighty. Well, welcome there, Mr. So let me make sure I get it right. Mr. Michael, welcome to the Discord channel. Just to let you know that. And welcome to the family. Guys, remember, I want to hear your confessions. I mean, you guys are not letting me know a lot about what you're going through. What is the anxiety that drives you? I want to know what the anxiety that drives you so much away from building a PC. I want to know that drive that pushes you away from it. But if you don't have that feeling of being pushed away from it, and you feel like you can move forward with it, then, that's a good thing. I mean, that's a real good thing. It would be perfect if it had 16 gigabytes of VRAM because I like eye candy. Okay. Take yourself back into the 80s about the eye candy, okay? Back then, you have either a VGA monitor with a green screen. Imagine playing a game with a green screen, like Super Breakout or something. And not unless you got like an Apple IIc, one of those computers, the Apple IIcs, had nothing but the green screen when they first came out. I think that was the Apple IIa, I think. They had those in when I was going to school, they had those in the school. Those were the nastiest computers I've ever seen in my whole life. Trust me, that is a big mistake putting those into a school. So, I'd still like one of those new ARC B750s, 10 gigabytes VRAM GPUs in a multimedia PC. Hey, believe it or not, that's not a bad idea. But you know what? It's even more of a challenge if you put it into, let's say, put a graphics card that has like 4 gigabytes of VRAM and use it as multimedia. Because if you really look at it, you're only going to be using like 2.1 gigabytes of VRAM. Maybe less than 3 when it comes to a multimedia YouTube kind of thing. But yeah, if you're doing a PC and you're putting the videos on the PC, then yeah, I could see doing 8 to 10 gigabytes of VRAM for that. I can see that. What drives me away is making an expensive mistake when building. Bro, there is no easy way to tell you this. There's no expensive way to tell you this. It's either you get a cheap PC with separated parts. I remember one time having a PC with a separated audio card. See, you have your separate video card, audio card. The motherboard came without the audio on it. So, and everything was separate. That is a challenge, especially with the audio drivers. That was more of a beast than the video card. Trust me when I tell you that. Jay, how you ever seen Pirates of? Have I ever seen the Pirates of Silicon Valley? No. Maybe because I really don't hang out in Silicon Valley, probably. That I'm a little bit away from it, but not much. But I'm currently using a GTX 2060 with 6 gigabytes of VRAM. $2060? If it's a 20 series, that's RTX. Just saying. Just saying. Because GTX is your 10 to 16 series. Your 20 series is RTX. So. That's all good. That's all good. Hey, it's all good, man. It's all good. Sampling one of the games, so taking that into consideration, everything else about the GPU seems to work well. If it works, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's what I've always said to everybody. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If it works for you and the drivers work for you and the updates work for you, you're good. No sense of packing something else into your PC, because this is where the big mistake comes in. This is where the big mistake comes in. Everybody takes a PC that's been built for that GPU. Then they decide to do this. Then they decide to take and upgrade 2 generations with the graphics card. 2 generations. And you're still on the same motherboard. What happens there is that the motherboard was set for the 20 series, but you want to put the 50 series in the 20 series motherboard. That's kind of a technological kind of imbalance. Now, if you were to do, let's say, you went from a 20 series to a 30 series, yeah, I could say that's okay. But jumping up to a 40 series, it's kind of cringe. I would say it's kind of cringe right there at the 40 series. But it depends on if you're running, let's say, a 5th gen or 4th gen Intel, and you want to put a 50 series graphics card on a 4th gen Intel, like what, a 4770, somewhere in there. That's kind of pushing your luck on that with an Intel processor. But if you're trying to do it off of a Gen 1 or Gen 2 AMD Ryzen processor, I wouldn't attempt it. It would have to be on at least a 3rd gen AMD processor, or a 12th gen, or you could go 10th gen, you could go 9th gen, really. Well, if you think about it, you probably could push it all the way down to the 8th gen Intel, because Microsoft Windows still supports 8th 8th gen all the way up to the 14th. Even though that the 14th and 13th are nothing but a bunch of degrading hot boxes. But you still got the 12th gen. It's still a good one because it doesn't degrade. That's the thing. So, Arc Intel B570 starts at €240. Well, it's not too bad. One thing that drives me away from PC building is the upward price creeping of the motherboard and PSU pricing. RAM and storage prices are reasonable, so upgrading to those components are actually an easy call. Well, okay, Brad, listen up. I'm going to give you a helpful hint. This is something that you could do as a redemption kind of thing. If your graphics card is decent, up to date, in a 30 series, let's say you got a 3080, and you want to move your platform up, let's say you want to go to AM5, and it's been a couple years since you've done this. So let's say you move your platform up to AM5, and you build yourself an decent AM5 platform for your 3080. Your 3080 is still going to handle it, but not as much, because now it's going to become to where your GPU is going to become the bottleneck. But that's not a bad thing, because now you're pushing the GPU at 100%, and it's giving you all its performance by moving your platform up. So say your platform cost you, let's say, roughly $500, and you haven't upgraded for 3 years. So you break down the $500 into 3 years is how much? I mean, you're actually saving a couple dollars by doing it, your platform one time, and then go up 3 years, and then do your graphics card, then go up 3 years, and then back to your platform. You move them back and forth. You don't do both at the same time. You do one at a time, so you never miss the future upgradability when it comes to your PC platform and your graphics card. So you're moving them up 3 years at a time. But you're not costing yourself a lot of money neither. Because if you're moving it up 3 years at a time, let's say you buy and sell your parts. Okay, so you buy your parts brand new, use it for 3 years, and then you upgrade one, your base platform, like your CPU, motherboard, and stuff like that, and then you move that up, and then you sell the platform, and guess what? It only cost you $50. So now you got new parts again for $50. So it only cost you $50. And then when it comes to your graphics card, then you move up down the line, and then you sell your graphics card for close to the same price you got the new one at. Guess what? Now you got a graphics card for less than $50. So now you're moving your platforms up, and it's only costing you $100 every 6 years. There's a way of doing it. There's a trick to doing this. So you can save yourself a ton of money and have fun and move your platform up at the same time. So there is a way. People like older parts. They're going to pay for the older parts. So there is a market out there for the older PC parts. People love them. There is a market. So that's if you want to go that route, because you can move your PC and spend $100 every 6 years. So you figure it out. It's a balancing act. You figure it out. PC build, my confession, PC build number 2 and 3 were Intel Pentium 4 disasters. Yeah, I hated that damn socket. Yeah, I agree with you there. even when they held back the 586, they did the 486, and I think they did come out with some of the 586, but not every one of them. But they did hold back somewhat because they were trying to move their way up to the first gen Intel Core processors. But they were having a hard time getting the name right. I remember that mess. They didn't know if they wanted to call it the Core processor, or they wanted to call it the Intel Core, the I-Core. It was nothing but a mess when they switched over like that. So I almost got a 3600K instead of a 7700X. Well, be lucky you get the 7700X. And I do agree with Michael, do avoid 13th and 14th gen. As if you remember right, if you looked at a Jay's 2 Cents video, he just redid a computer for his friend and his computer because the 14th gen processor gave up the ghost. Booyah. Done. Cooked. And I'm like, damn, for as long as he had those processors, I've had my 5700X and it's still rocking. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I got an AM4 motherboard and it's still rocking. For the length of time he had his, I've had mine. I don't get it, guys. I really don't. That's another confession that should be made by, these reviewers and all that, But it should. It should be a big confession about it. So, yeah, former DeBauer employer, casking seals, and Intel Arc B580 limited edition for €269. Not too bad. My Pentium 4 was obsolete in less than a year. Do you remember when they had the, what was it, the black, I can't remember, it was the black version. They were splitting the cores. I think it was, I can't remember, it's called Black something edition. They were splitting the cores into 4 different sections. They were doing a 4-core processor and it was supposed to be a 4-core times 2. They were splitting the sections, and that's the time they were dibbling and dabbling with 4 cores and 8 threads, I think it was. It's been so long ago. God. I remember when AMD come out with their X64, the 2-core processor. It was 232 bit core processor, where it had an upper and lower can't even remember that neither. Damn. That's been a while though. Wow. That is like, see, when you get over 50, what happens is you start to lose that brain value. That brain pan starts to go away. And you get older and that brain pan's just kind of losing it out there, guys. But I'm telling you, unless back years ago when you first started out and you're around my age and you first know that when you got, what was it, the 72 72 pin slot RAM sticks. There were 72 pin dim sticks. Those on a 286 giving you a total of, what was it? 4 megabytes of system RAM. Those were a pain in the butt. I had a whole shoebox full of those things. And I had to pick through every one of them. And I had to make sure they had the right nanoseconds on them and everything else. Oh my God, that is a disaster. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I couldn't even remember the name of it. I got some here, though. I kept a couple for souvenirs. I'm going to have to get a box made for them, because they're souvenirs of the early days, of the 1 megabyte early days. So, yeah, that's a long time ago. So, RTX 3080 starts at 435 here. A 3060 12 gigabytes is 259. Not really great, at least not for me with my 45 watt 4060. Yeah. But like NVIDIA said at the keynote, Jensen took the 5060 and the laptop, shoved it together like this, and said, here you go, here's a new laptop with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So that's still, I mean, the mistake for me to think that's a mistake, that made me believe that 5060 had a mobile chip on it. When he did that, that made me think that laptop, and he's trying to say the desktop and laptop are the same. That made me think that the desktop has a mobile chip in it. Instead of having a full GPU die, it has a mobile die in it. That's what confused me a little bit. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I mean, NVIDIA don't really have any redemption there. So, hey Jay, do you have a copy of Windows 95 with the 1+ gigabyte patch? No, I don't, believe it or not. No, I don't. But I do got Windows 95, what was it? Windows 95A and Windows 95 2B and Windows 95 2C. Very interesting how they put out different versions of Windows 95. So, yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, if I'm thinking about years ago, Windows 95 nightmare. That's what we should have had made a video on, was Windows 95 nightmares. That would have really told everybody what kind of nightmare you would have gone through. But do remember, I am doing a PC course called oh geez, now I even forgot that. Oh my God. I'm doing a course on the PC Master Class for beginners, and it's going to have the intermediate, and it's going to have the advanced class. So, but that's going to be for the members who join. You can, I mean, you subscribe to the channel, and if you want to become a member and you want to help the channel out, then you can go that route. But that's going to be for the members only kind of thing. But we'll work around it. We'll see what we can do. I'm trying to run an old DOS game. Well, then you need MS-DOS. You got to format the drive for MS-DOS. Now, to find a copy of MS-DOS, that's going to be hard, especially separate from Windows 95. They did split it one time on two separate things, where you got Windows 95 with MS-DOS and you got Windows 95 without MS-DOS. But you'd have to load the MS-DOS. I don't know. They just had it screwed up at one time. So, just to tell you that. That's why I need Windows 95. Yeah. Well, that's going to be a hard ask to get that program there, bro. That's going to be a hard ask. Ooh. No, if I remember right, you can still download it. But you don't, unless you got a product key. But you can still download it if I remember right. I think it's on GitHub. Don't they got it on GitHub? They got a modified version on GitHub. If I remember right. I'll have to look into that. It's been ages since I even thought about Windows 95 or 98. Windows Me, Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, and the prototype Windows 9 that never came out. And what was it? There was the prototype of Windows 10. I got the prototype of Windows 10 32-bit and 64-bit. Wow. And then you get the actual copy of Windows 10. There's just so much software out there. It's unbelievable. I mean, what's even worse than that, October's coming around the corner, guys. Hopefully you got something cooked to where you can get your PC on Windows 11. But when Windows 11 25H2 comes out, any PC that's older than, what was it? 8th gen Intel or Zen 2 of Ryzen is not going to be able to get on to 25H2. Microsoft's changing the codes out to where it's going to be impossible for people to bypass the hack. So you might want to think about that. They've been talking about this, and little by little they're blocking everybody from doing that quick hack. So I have one friend that stuck on Windows 10. Well, I was forced onto Windows 11. 22, what was it, 22H2? Microsoft automatically upgraded my PC for me. When I went to start it, I had no other choice. I was stuck on Windows 11. And with, my PC, it was just a scary moment. That was a big scary moment for me. But as I adapted Windows 11, it looks like they didn't change anything from Windows 10 to Windows 11 other than the start menu. That was it. My son is soldering on with Windows 7 on an Intel quad course with 6600. Intel quad core 6600. Well, I mean, I was running Windows 7 with the Intel Duo core, 2-core processor. Yeah. And also, too, I ran Windows with Intel 2nd Gen. What was it? Let me remember. Since I already got it here. It is the i5 2400. i5 2400. I got 2 of those processors. I got one in a Dell PC that I got, and I got a spare one that I kept, and then I got the Intel, was it 4th gen, the 4770, and a Hewlett Packard. Yeah, and I got the duo core, and I got the, what was it, the Intel Intel Pro D or something like that, way back years ago. Wow. I got a couple old parts. I keep them around because I know they're going to be display parts when I get a full studio, you know, and set everything up. It's going to be definitely some display parts there. Some old time parts. Remind us back of the days how PC gaming first came about. You know, if you look at it back years ago, how people were taking the 286, or what was it, 286 processors and overclocking them. That was a challenge. That was a serious challenge there. And now look at today. Today you can overclock like crazy. I offered to build my friend a new AM5 build to make the jump to Windows 11, but he chose instead to waste $300 CAD to have a guy come to his home and restore his Windows 10 on a 10-year-old PC. Wow. Oh my God. Why would you do that? All you need is to download the Windows program from Microsoft, which you can make one of these, and do it yourself. I don't see 300. You could have saved $300. I mean, for real. The whole idea with being PC enthusiast is to save much money as you can for other parts. That $300 he could have put into a better CPU, or he could have put it into more RAM, or he could have bought a better motherboard and used the same CPU. You know, there's many things you could have done to modify your PC to upgrade it to another level. I mean, yes, MTBK, you're right, the Windows Media Creation tool. Or you could have used Rufus. You could use that too, you know. There's many options. So could have saved a lot of money that way. There's only 2 things you need to do when you go to refresh your PC. First thing you need is the product key. So there's a way to get into the registry to pull up your product key. You write it down, get your product key, and then you want to refresh your Windows, totally rip everything out and start from fresh. You can do that with using one of these and go in and rip everything out and refresh it. But remember, with older PCs, you're going to be stuck on master boot record. Now, changing to the GPT for Windows 11, that's going to take a little bit more creativity to do. So keep that in mind when you're trying to build your PC. There's two different type of boot records that you got to worry about. When you're using UEFI, you got to stay at GPT boot record. Compared to the master boot record, they're both NTFS. But the point is, if you want your PC to move faster, you're going to need a GPT boot record compared to a master boot record. Master boot record was used for years and years and years, all the way up to the Windows 10. And then everything switched to GPT. So, but if you want to stay on Windows 10, you can. They have a program that's like what, 30, I think it's like $30 a year that you can pay Microsoft if you want to keep paying Microsoft $30 a year for the next 3 years to stay on Windows 10, so you get all the updates and everything else. It's still possible. Or you can save your money and get yourself an AM5, or I do say this, it's going to come to a point to where everybody's got to move to AM5. Is because when, and here's where Samsung's not confessing and people are not picking up on it. Samsung came out back, was about a month or so ago, and said to everybody they're getting ready to discontinue DDR4. And that's your AM4 platform. That's your, what, your 12th, 13th, and 14th gen platforms. But remember, 13th and 14th gen, or 12th, 13th, and 14th gen, I think they got one for the 12th gen. And 13th and 14th gen, you can go to AM5. So it's like a mixed bag between the two. But once they do away with DDR4 and stop production, then whatever's on the market is going to be it. It's going to be a madhouse because everybody's going to be buying DDR4. And once it runs out, that's it. It's gone. Then now AM4 now moves up to AM5. So the new platform is now AM5. Everybody's going to be stuck on AM5. But you're going to have the rest of the 60% of the world still stuck on AM4 until they confess that staying on the AM4 was a mistake. So, do you guys regret staying on the AM4 platform as a mistake or not? Leave your comment. Let me know if you regret it or not. If you do, then what you going to do to redeem yourself? Are you going to buy a new system or not? That's going to be the question. Yeah, I agree, Brad. DDR4 has had a good, what, 10 years? 10 or 11 years in between there, somewhere in there. But yeah, I agree. It's had its time. No regrets with the AM4? Not a lot of people do, but you know, I don't neither because I'm still on AM4. When I bought my system back, what, a couple years ago, I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. I really don't. Because it's still rocking with my RTX 4070, and I'm still playing Cyberpunk like no other. So, what am I disappointed about? Because I got 12 gigabytes of VRAM? You know how many times I've heard other reviewers say, well, you have 12 gigabytes of VRAM. Even my friends, technicians down in Florida, said, oh, you got a 12 gigabytes of VRAM. I said, you know what? I guarantee I'm not using all 12. I guarantee the most I ever use is 9. So, there it is. It fits my usage, as you would say. My secondary gaming PC is AM4. Well, if it's still rocking, it's still rocking. Simple. AM4 is going to be a good option for home lab servers. Yeah, that is true. That is true. What if you get what, an X motherboard? What, a 570? X570? With the 5950X? Yeah. And a, what, 800 watt power supply? Maybe 1,000 watt power supply? Kind of put some legs on it? Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, yeah. And believe it or not, when you do those home labs, they don't have to be expensive. They really don't. Or if you're doing, let's say, a server, you can do a decent server with AM4. So, yeah. PC number 2 is rocking the Ryzen 7 5700X3D. Cool. Mine right here, right now, doing live is rocking the 5700X. Do I need much more than that? No. If I wanted more, I can go the 5950X because I'm on a Strix motherboard and it's got the right amount of VRMs, the voltage regulation modules. So yeah, I could rock all day long on a 5950X 16 core if I wanted to go that route. Since I already, excuse me, excuse me again. Since I already did the little trickery in the registry of turning off the sleep on the cores so they don't sleep. So basically they regulate themselves, and when they go to idle, they don't go to sleep, but they're still on. So that way when I open something up, it's like that. I don't want the cores to sleep. I want them to stay at least idle going through. I don't want them to sleep, because once they sleep, then you got a delay. And that's where the problem comes in. So that's my mistake if I did that and it doesn't work out, but so far it has worked out. By turning off the scheduling for the core sleep, or whatever you call it, I don't care anymore. It puts the cores to sleep. I wake them up. Even running an 8-core processor, 5 of the cores or 6 of the cores do go to sleep, sometimes sitting at idle. And you're only running 1 to 2 cores. But you want all of them running. My mistake is having the PC turn them off. So I disabled it. I figured a way. I disabled it. I even did a video on it. You know, you guys have to find the video because it's some videos ago. It'll take me forever to find it, but yeah, I mean, guys, what other regrets do you really have? What is actually your true dig when it comes? And I know I'm going to tell you what you guys are going to have is, I'm going to tell you the true mistake. The true mistake that everybody's been making. And this is a true mistake that everybody's been making. I'm going to tell you why. When I hear everybody running the 50 series, oh my goodness. When I hear everybody running the 50 series graphics cards, here's the one mistake they're making. They're not looking into the platform they're using. They're not looking at the CPU that they're using. They're using a 4.0 x16 processor with the 5.0 x16 graphics card. Big mistake. The platform means this, the motherboard means a lot at this point in time, especially when you're trying to move the goalpost, trying to make your CPU, make your GPU run faster, and you're trying to move the goalpost, and guess what happens? Oh, everybody's talking about black screening. Okay, well, you're running a 4.0 x16 processor with a 4.0 x16 motherboard, and you're trying to run the RAM at 6,000 microtransfers. Big mistake. And you do nothing about the BIOS updates and totally bypass it. And you're trying to run the system RAM on Expo, which you have to understand, regardless, Windows operating system shares system RAM with the graphics card RAM. Either way you look at it. So trying to get around that, you can't. It is embedded to Windows, Microsoft Windows, and you can't get around that. As much as you want to, you can't. It's impossible because it's embedded in the kernel driving software for Windows. I'll show you why. I'll take you on a little journey. Just a little journey. Okay. See where right here where it says dedicated GPU memory, 12 gigabytes. See where it says shared GPU memory, 32 gigabytes. Do you think I can get around this? No, nobody can. GPU memory, 44 gigabytes. So I'm sharing 1.5 gigabytes with the GPU memory. I am sharing 200 megabytes of GPU memory. So you got GPU memory, and I'm utilizing 20% between all of it. So all of it right here. Dedicated memory, shared memory, video encoding, 20%. So, do you think I can get around that? No. So, when it comes to your system RAM, guys, you share part of it with your graphics card. As much as you like it or not. If you don't have the right speed on your graphics card or on your system RAM, your graphics card is going to crap. And it's going to run like crap. And if you don't run the right PCIe lanes with your CPU and your motherboard, your GPU is going to run like crap. So trying to put all this together in a bundle, I've been digging quite a bit on people talking about, well, I'm black screening, I'm black screening, I'm black screening, I'm black screening. With the new graphics card, even with the 40 series. Guys, I have the newest driver update, 576.52 in my PC. Do I regret it? No. Was it a mistake doing it? No. What's the redemption? Well, I've already benchmarked Cyberpunk with the 576.40 and the 576.52. It works. There's no problem. If it was going to crash, no matter what setting I had it on, it would have crashed. It would have black screened as soon as I started up the game. because that's where your shader initialization load happens. At the beginning, the shader loads first. And if it would have crashed it, it would have done it on the game. It would have black screened me, but it didn't. So this is where I come to the realization, maybe it's the hardware, other hardware parts. That was one piece that I thought. MTBK, you said your redemption is installing the NVIDIA app, but I don't allow it to overclock my GPU. You don't have to. You can set yours manually. That's up to you. You set the curve manually. That's all on you. You can set it manually. I don't set mine onto the AI update, set its own curve kind of thing. No, I don't do that because it sets it to the minimal value. That's what I don't like about it. And that would have been a mistake on my part, and I would have regretted it. And guess what? My redemption would have been in the crapper. I would have never enjoyed my game. It's not saying it's a bad thing, you know, for first time overclockers. It's not a bad thing for them because it does it automatically, and it doesn't pull the stress of the GPU to 100%, keeps it like halfway. You know, it's kind of a balance, so that way you don't crash. So yeah, I can see that. I don't know about you guys. Can you see that? Let me know if you can see it or not. But we need to get to the bottom of the fact of, and I'm going to tell you guys, this is confession time. We need to get to the bottom of the fact of these driver problems with NVIDIA graphics cards. I think, and I'm still going to stand by it, that I think it's other hardware issues, or that it's Microsoft Windows itself. Because Microsoft has been doing so many different updates and people have been having so many different problems with it. I'm still thinking it's the Microsoft updates as well. Thinking it's a combination of what type of motherboard you're using, what type of CPU you're using, and the RAM, how you're configuring the overclocking of your RAM in the BIOS for the motherboard. Thinking about that too, on top of what I'm doing. I'm undervolting my CPU, undervolting it, and I'm using PBO curve, an undervolt, and I'm undervolting the voltage of the CPU by maybe 3 or 4%. Maybe that's why I'm probably not seeing it, because I have a balance on my motherboard. Could be a balance. Or it could be that AM4 is not plagued with the same thing AM5's plagued with. Like when it first started with the 7800X 3D on an Asus motherboard, that it burned up over there on Gamers Nexus channel, that they proved it. Could be a plague X3D kind of thing. But if that was the case, they're having the same problem with the X processors. So, having the same problem with the X processors, maybe it's the motherboard updates. Maybe they did something to the firmware. Could be affecting NVIDIA drivers. I don't know. You guys tell me. Let me know what you hear. Because I can tell you what I'm hearing. And what I'm seeing on my PC, I don't see what everybody else is seeing. And I'm being straight up with you guys. I'm not seeing it. Maybe because I talked about this in Discord about 3 or 4 drivers ago. Yeah, I got black screen, but I did a hard restart and drivers came back to life. That was only 2 times that happened, and that was it. After that, not a problem. Or what I'm thinking is the Windows stores on your command prompt. You know how you go in the search and you go in for command prompt? Maybe you got a corrupted Windows stores. See, you have to look at you. If somebody comes on and puts a comment on the videos and says, "Oh, I got black screen, this and that." You first have to start with, what kind of motherboard are you using? What kind of CPU are you using? What kind of RAM are you using? What kind of SSD are you using? What kind of GPU are you using? What type software are you using? Windows 10 or Windows 11? Are you using Windows 11 23H2 or are you using Windows 11 24H2? Are you running any kind of other software other than running Steam games? Are you running Steam on 2 separate SSDs compared to one SSD that's connected to your operating system? It's many moving parts. Nobody knows what you have cooking in your PC. Nobody but you. So for me to say what the solution is, I first have to know what you're running. So guys, don't get me wrong. I mean, I can give you a solution, but to say it's going to work is 50-50. If I don't know what your PC is, I don't know what's going on inside until I have clarity of what kind of parts you put together in your PC. It's an endless cycle of no answer, because every part works in a harmonic way. So if your motherboard's not working in a harmonic way to your GPU, then that means your motherboard needs to be changed. Or if your RAM's not compatible with, if you don't go onto the motherboard website and look at that motherboard and look at the QVL for the RAM, and you use different type RAM other than what's being registered on the QVL, there's your problem there. Because you're using RAM that's not compatible with your motherboard. And that can trigger a black screen, even with the software from your GPU. So you can think I'm crazy, but the thing is it's not crazy. You want answers to that solution to the mistakes that people are making out there. And this is the mistake they're making. If I'm not having no problem with NVIDIA software, and half the population out there is saying the same thing, but you got the other half saying, no, they're having a problem, maybe it's not the software. Maybe it's the hardware. Maybe it's the combination you put together. So you have to look at it in all angles. Don't look at it as being, okay, it's broken, it's NVIDIA's fault because it's broken and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Don't blame it on NVIDIA. You can't blame on NVIDIA what you do with your PC. That's just another way of saying that it's somebody else's fault other than your own for learning what your PC does. That's the thing. That's the reason why I put together and I'm building slowly the PC Masterclass, is so that way, step by step by step by step, you'll learn individually how to put a PC together that's functioning, that won't have this kind of problem, that you can actually put the parts together with ease, or put the software in without having an issue as well. Michael says, I'm going to stick with the hardware I'm running on, gaming PC 1 and 2, because I'm leasing a new car, so my PC part budget build is at 0. Hey, I don't blame you. I don't blame you a bit. My good old PC right here. I said to everybody, 5 years. 5 years. I got a little over 2 years left on this PC. Do you think it's going to survive the next couple years? Yeah, it will. You think that 5700X is going to last a whole 5 years? Yeah, it will. You think my Strix motherboard is going to last a whole 5 years? Yes, it will. You think my 64 gigs of RAM that I got in here, boosted to 3400 megahertz, is going to last 5 years? Yeah, it will. My SSDs will last 5 years. So, yeah. My old card died, so I had no choice. Bro, that's a part of life everybody has. They have no choice. Look, I got to go back and fix my other car, get it all back to 100%. I do understand how this works. Right now, I'm on a borrowed car, borrowed time. So, that's because my friend's not using the car right now. So, basically, he's got 2 cars, and he just said, go ahead and use it. So, I'm on a borrowed car, borrowed time. So, yeah, I understand about the car thing. So, but I want to know if you guys learned anything today about the PC confessions and what your fears of building a PC. You shouldn't have any fears of building a PC. Should be no fears. If it's broke, you fix it. Simple as that. If it works, don't touch it. You don't need to. You want to play a game, reduce your resolution if it's not working at your expectations. As your hardware gets older and older and older, the resolution's going to go down and down and down and down. So you have to accept it. If you're going to do it for a long period of time with the same hardware, you're going to have to expect the fact of your resolution's going to be lower and lower and lower set as new hardware comes out over the years. So I just fall back into integrated graphics if my GPU dies, and a repair isn't worth it. Simple. Until there's a great opportunity to get a new graphics card. I agree. My old car was a 2012 Hyundai Accent. Lasted me 4 years, and I paid approximately $4,200. It is owed me nothing. Well, let me put it to you this way. Mine is a 2005 Ford Explorer. 2005. That I paid $1,600 for. That's lasted me 4 years. That I've had to do 2 brake changes, a radiator change, lower ball joint change, which I did all the work myself, by the way. And a couple other things I got to do work to it. But still, I can still get the parts for it, but I can still fix it. And I don't need an auto mechanic to do it. That's the thing. So I do understand. Alrighty. Seems you guys are having a blast over there on Discord, so whoo, lordy. Point is this. For everybody that's out there worried about the software for NVIDIA, I wouldn't be worried. Because there's one thing that AMD didn't tell everybody, that what they did was, and then you can go look it up at Tech Power Up, was that they increased the transistor count on their GPUs. But they didn't increase the frequency on the memory. They're using the same count. And this is really what got me so much, was that the memory speed was only 20 gigabits per second, and you got the 50 series running at 28 gigabits per second. And I was stumped on the balance of the amount of memory that both sides were using, and the IPC uplift that you got with GDR7 compared to GDR6. I was like, I'm stumped over this. But then it hit me like a brick. Go check the transistors and the transistor count. So, this was the mistake I made. I didn't look at it. And I'm starting to look at it now. For the simple fact that if you look at the 9070 XT, it's got, was it 52 or somewhere, 52,000 billion transistors? That's more than the 5070 Ti has. See, now, hear me out. 5070 Ti's got a little bit less, but the 5080's got a little bit more. So that's where AMD fitted the 9070 XT into the bracket of the 5080 and the 5070 Ti. By putting more transistors on the GPU die, forcing more power through the GPU die to get more performance, to make it look like it's the best thing in the world. But in actuality, they're stressing the silicon out, and it could have a degrading problem in the long run. So everybody, go ahead. You just buy yourself a 9070 XT with all that stress marks. I mean stretch marks. I mean stress marks. Suffering from prejudice, just check the benchmarks. I don't need to check anything to give you that honest answer, because that's going to dwindle over the period of a year or two. It's going to start going down to down to down. Because the amount of power that they're putting, they can put almost on an OC model, 400 watts. Makes perfect sense why, what was it, Sparkle started doing the card with the 12 volt high power, is because they knew they were going to stretch it to 400 watts. So, yeah. The claim that AMD made, and this is the claim they made, oh, we're doing only low-end entry-level cards, and we're only doing medium and right in the middle grade graphics cards. Well, then why are you making a graphics card for high-end? I'm sorry, to me this is a lie. To me this is a lie. No, I thought they've done an AMD card as well. I could have swore they did. Is it Sparkle? I can't remember. It's one of those companies, one of those off companies. I can't remember. I can't remember. It's one of those off companies. The ones that we really not, was it Power Color or something like that? I thought it was Sparkle because they did a back plate that was removable kind of thing. And I think they did the 9070 XT with the removable back plate. Oh, Sparkle does that? Are you sure? What, or was it an Acer? No. Was it? I don't know. I can't remember which one done it, but I know somebody done it for an AMD graphics card and put the 12 volt high power on the AMD 9070 XT, which I know they did. So, but I know they're, you know, they can draw 400 watts of power off of that card because the amount of transistors it has on the GPU die. And if it sits in between the 5070 Ti and the 5080, yeah, now we know why the card is $1,000 or close to it. Because it's a little less than the 5080, but it's a little more than the 5070 Ti. So it's $900 to $1,000. Now we know why. Tell me if I'm wrong. Hey, that's why you guys are here. You're here to tell me if I'm right or wrong. But I can tell you, that's what it's looking like. There are some cards with, there are some cards that have the 3 8-pin connectors. Why are they using 3 8-pin connectors? That's 450 watts. So, why would they do that? Because you can pull off of 3 8-pin connectors, total of max about 500. Don't want to push any more than that. Yeah, the GPU prices are out of whack, but this is the mistake everybody makes. Why would AMD say one batch you can get them for $550 and then turn around, oh yeah, Sapphire, not Sparkle, my bad. Yeah, you're right, that is right, Sapphire, not Sparkle. Hey, it started with an S, guys. It started with an S. At least I was close, but not too close, but I was close. Okay, I admit it, I was close, but not too close. So, it was Sapphire. That you are right about that. Okay, so what do you guys think about confessing today? Did you confess enough, or you didn't want to tell the world that, you know, when you first started, or just recently that, you know, you messed up your PC on some kind of goof, or, you know, you didn't want to tell the world? Come on, guys. Spit it out. Spit it out. It is the one true power connector, the 12-volt high power. The one to rule them all. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the 8-pin connector, I hate to tell you this, I'm going to tell you again. My 4070 has one 8-pin connector on it. That's it. One 8-pin connector. And it's the OC model. Makes no sense, but they did it. Michael says his disaster was in 2005. Mine was in, I think mine was in, I could say most of it all probably between 84 and 87, truthfully. More of a disaster is when the World Wide Web first came out. That was a disaster. When they first launched the World Wide Web over the telephone. The rotary phones. Do we remember what the rotary phones were? I hope you guys remember. Because you had to do dial-up through the rotary phone. Now that was interesting. Trying to get the rotary phone to work to send a signal so you can get on the World Wide Web. Yeah. How many mistakes there? I can tell you I had a ton. First start off with, when I tried to get on the World Wide Web, here's my mistake. 1, I dialed up. 2, I got on the internet. 3, guess what happened? Phone company had to come out and change a fuse to the line in order for me to get back on the phone call. For me to connect to the internet, they had to change a fuse in the line for the phone. And then after that, they came out with those adapter pieces that you had to use for your PC. Oh my God, you want to talk about nightmare. Do I regret dial-up? Yeah. Michael, I'm saying the same thing. Yeah. That's more or less like, you know, you're on the toilet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That kind of thing. Especially running at 1100 baud rate. Oh my goodness. Mine was in 2001 when I got married. Wait, we were talking about computers. Machine, how dare you? How dare you, man? She gonna beat you with a broomstick. She gonna get you with that broomstick. I was on the Bell Canada ASDL help desk. Well, Michael, I'll tell you what, I bet you it was a nightmare. I bet you there was a lot of mistakes made on dial-up. And I bet you there's a lot of people that look at the internet today and regret dial-up. And the redemption is we're glad we have, for what? Longer than how many years now since dial-up? That's redemption. You know, I heard that the president wanted to take and bring back the dial-up, and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I was like, whoa, you gotta be kidding me. There ain't no way gonna bring back the dial-up. Ain't no way gonna bring back the dial-up. Give me a moment, guys. I will be right back. Give me one moment. Oh my God. Look at this damn thing, dude. That's what I call a bear claw. That's what I call a bear claw, man. Damn. Yeah, I know, right? Got me a big old ass bear claw. Damn. So guys, I'm glad you guys were here today with me. Yep, it's a Jay snack time. It's the snack time for Jay. But guys, it's about time that I get up out of here anyway. But I'm glad you guys stuck around today for the party and all. Don't forget, I'm going to be uploading the video for the PC Masterclass today. And also, too, every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., we do this. But there's more to come. I got a lot more things cooking, so you're just going to have to be patient. We're going to get it all going. So, but anyway, I can tell you what I got going on right now, but you're going to have to hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit the like button, and don't forget about the notification bell, because if you don't, then you won't never know when I post a video. But if you like what I do and you want to become a member, hit the join button. That would be appreciated. Helps out the channel. So guys, you have a great day. Be safe and everything else. I'm going to get out of here, eat my bear claw, and be happy about it. So until the next time in the next video, live or, recorded or whatever, we'll see you on the next one. Be safe, and we'll talk to you later.